Hey everybody, GZERO's coverage is continuing here at the World Bank and IMF Annual Meetings. A big focus, in fact, the focus of a big event today is agriculture and agribusiness. And with good reason, 80% of the food that we eat is grown on small farms. And there's a projection that by 2050, we'll need about 30% more food to feed the world. And that's where my next guest, Nidhi Pant, comes in. She is co-founder of an organization called Science for Society Technologies, S4S. Nidhi, it's great to meet with you.
Thanks, Tony. It's
Thanks
great to be
for
here.
being here. Yeah, I'm sure you were able to attend the event that's focused on what they call AgriConnect.
Yes.
We're going to talk a bit in general about how farming contributes to the economy and could be a place for job growth in the future. But first, I'm always fascinated by stories like yours. What need did you see in India, in your own community even, that made you say, there's a problem here that I think I can fix?
So my family comes from Himalayas. It's a landlocked terrain which is very prone to natural calamities, and we have this amazing orange farms. We grew oranges, but unfortunately my parents were never happy with the income that we were generating from it. And when I realized what was the core reason, it was that we were not even able to cover our costs, because by the time the produce was harvested and taken to the market in Delhi, we used to lose 50% of the produce. It was because of the lack of infrastructure, losses during the transportation, low shelf life of the produce, and this was a major reason for my family to migrate and stop farming in the Himalayas and migrate to Mumbai, where I studied chemical engineering. And during my engineering days, again, when I went to these large, we call in India mandis, markets where the farmers would come and take their produce, and by the evening, if it is not sold, they would just either give you at a very low price or would just dump it because they can't take it back. Sometimes the cost of transportation and harvesting was greater than the value of the produce that they were getting. So I think that something connected back to me that, okay, how can I use my engineering knowledge to solve this problem of post-harvest losses that is faced in India, which is $14 billion. So India loses food worth
In food waste,
yes,
$14
$14
billion.
billion.
That's amazing. And so what model did you create then to address this problem? Tell us a little bit about S4S.
So at S4S, we started by creating technologies which were food preservation and processing technologies, so that the farmers can process their produce and preserve it. So we created dehydrators and other sort of processing equipments for farmers to convert their surplus produce into food ingredients. So say a tomato that would get rejected, has some black spots, which is ugly looking, all of that they can convert it into in a dehydrated format. But what we realized was that the farmers wanted to earn an additional income. They wanted an economical benefit out of it. So they used to come to us and ask that, okay, how are we going to sell this produce? Where should we sell this produce? And so we now the model is that we give technology to the farmer, which will produce the right set of ingredients. We train them, we increase their capacity on how to make these ingredients.
And as you determined, women make up a lot of these smallhold farmers and run a lot of these farms that you're talking about. So what were the particular needs through a lens of gender that you were addressing?
You know, for the longest time, the photo of a farmer for me was of a male figure. But as you start spending more and more time in the farms, you realize that the women are running the household and also working on the farms. So what we realized that these women are the ones who are have caregiving responsibilities, have to also earn as daily wage workers. So they would travel outside their villages. They don't have any employment opportunities at the village. They can't create any livelihood there. So they travel outside, they work in very extreme weather conditions, they're working at construction sites, and the burden is on them. It's on their health. It's also not a very predictable income for them. So for us, that was an important aspect, that there's no livelihood options for women at the village level. So we need to create for them, which is the equipment needs to be designed in a way where women can easily operate. It needs to also help them give more control over their time. So basically, the model that we created was very centered towards women. We say that we want to empower them with assets, we want to create positive impact on their body, and we also want to help them create a voice in their communities, because now the women are earning $1,000 to $2,000, is double down their household income. They are the breadwinners in their families. So it's also complete identity shift for them.
That's really exciting. So essentially, if I got it right, you're providing technology that helps to process these foods into products that more markets want, and that enables them to A, cut down on food waste, right? But B, stay home and have a viable job. However, to get the kind of equipment and technology that you're talking about, there has to be money to buy it. So you've experimented with a few different credit models, right? So explain, there was a little trial and error there, right?
Yes. So when we first started with, we gave them equipment to 200 women entrepreneurs, and the equipments were funded by grant agencies. So we got support from CSRs and other people to fund these equipments. And that time we were just testing whether the income that the women were making was enough, which would keep them interested, is the quality right. Once that was proven, we were stuck that now we want to scale it. Who's going to actually fund these women? If you look who this woman is, she is someone who has no collateral. Because of the patriarchal norms, the land holding is with the husband or the brother. She does not even have a bank account. So how is the bank actually going to fund her if there is no credit history? So I think the first bottleneck that we had was that the banks are not going to fund her. Then we first went to microfinance. Microfinance said that, okay, we will be able to fund it, but you will need to give a guarantee on these. And then as far as gave guarantee
and
for
were the interest rates really high?
And the interest rate was 31%. So when these women, whatever they were getting as their net income, it was very little for them to keep working. And that was the biggest challenge, because we saw so much of dropouts, because the women were like, we are working so much and you're taking away 30% of our income, and that's not something that they felt viable. And that's why we realized that affordable financing is so important. Then with after microfinance, we went to NBFCs. They were lending at 18%, which was still better than
better, but
not great. It really helped us show a lot of retention, because the women said, okay, this is still more viable. And then once we saw the cash flows for 2 years, the banks were very ready. They were like, okay, we can fund it. We will be able to give you a loan at 9%. And then the government came in and the government said, okay, we can give you interest subvention of 3%.
Right.
So the net rate of interest was 6%, and that was a win-win situation. The government took a step ahead and then said that we can give you a capital subsidy of 35%, because now the income is coming. But the challenging is always at the start.
And so here you are in the middle of World Bank headquarters, right, talking about your story and the business that you created. What do you see as the role of multilateral organizations like World Bank and IMF when it comes to helping you and helping the people that you serve through your business? And then is there a private sector component to this as well?
Absolutely. We believe that the biggest role that an organization like World Bank Group and IFC can play is to invest at the right infrastructure needs of any country. So invest in businesses, invest in with the government, and create opportunities which are more like, say, create more export led infrastructure for smallholder farmers to access better markets. Okay, now they have come to till a point with Indian markets, but how can we create infrastructure that can help them export better? So I think the biggest role is that, and second is the biggest role is in terms of the knowledge that they have. They have been working with smallholder farmers for ages. They have been working on water management, on reducing water stress with the farmers, and this creates an opportunity for companies like us to now come on the post-harvest side, because there is a lot of work that is done on the pre-harvest by the World Bank Group, and where we can come with our livelihood solutions. And as the customer is the same, we are all working towards smallholder farmers. It is also layering of the solutions. So we believe that it will give us an access to a lot of farmer base, that they have access to their knowledge, what sort of models have worked in different countries, what are different ways in which we can manage working capital. So for us, it's also a learning that we will get in organizational building. How do we scale our solutions in different geographies to different products? So I'm looking forward to a lot of success transfer and to learn a lot from the leaders that have come here.
And as we learned here this week at World Bank, these statistics about 80% of the food that we eat around the world coming from small farms, and also a need for 30% more food by 2050 to feed all of us. What role do you think those small farms will continue to play, and how do you scale it beyond your community, beyond India, to the world?
My hope for smallholder farmer is that they all earn a decent income, but with a lot of dignity. I believe we need to provide them with dignity of work, help them diversify their incomes, and also help them withstand more climate shocks, so that they're again not below the poverty line. They are resilient enough so that they can withstand any extreme weather events and events like pandemics. That's something that we really should be working on, how farmers can adapt to climate change.
Science for Society Technologies is the company. Nidhi Pant, it's been great to meet you. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you so much, Tony, and thanks for inviting me.